cast from the coast.
There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Here's Johnny.
She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes.
This 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Have you checked the children?
Welcome, everybody, to episode 29 of They Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I have with me, as always, Tim. Yes, sir, the check is in the mail, Johnson.
I like that.
You did it. You did it.
Bravo. Bravo.
Finally, 29 episodes.
Oh, you bugger.
I'm kidding. There's been some good ones in there.
There has been some good ones. That wasn't my favorite, but it definitely applies to tonight's episode.
Well, I think everyone that you usually do applies in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Whether that makes it good or not, but
We'll just go with that, Tim. We'll just go.
no complaints tonight.
No complaints. Wait until next episode. Then you can complain. So, how you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. Busy as always, and editing and doing photography stuff and watching horror movies and normal movies and
Love
yeah.
it. Yeah. Good, man. Good. And you've been busy with the photography. Misunderstood Photography is doing really well, man. Every time I'm talking to you, you're getting ready to do another photo shoot, or you're, like you said, you're editing more photos for the cosplayers in the area, especially, man. It's turned out pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'm happy with the direction it's going. It's fun. It's fun.
Well, cool, man. Cool. So you must have you seen anything new? I mean, you got to have stuff to keep you busy throughout the week. You know?
A couple weeks ago, I did a shoot with the very talented and stunning Diana, who goes by the cosplay name Scarlet Danger, and we did a female Ghost Rider shoot, which was awesome. The setting was awesome. We had an actual motorcycle. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's excellent, man. I can't wait to see that. Yeah, no, Ghost Rider was one of my favorite characters for the longest time in the Marvel universe, so that'll be pretty cool. I'm excited to see that.
Well, I can't wait to post them, but the difficulty with this particular set of shots is how badass Ghost Rider to, Diana, who's, a pretty stunning female. Where's that line where, you know what I mean? Like, where Ghost Rider meets pinup. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I'm going with it. But that was a really fun shoot. I actually had a really fun shoot on Monday. My very good friend and very talented cosplayer, Kevin St. Pierre, came up, and we did a bunch of Wolverine shots with him and a couple other cosplayers, but I'm going to right now as far as what I was doing with that. But
so what you're telling me is I missed out on that one.
You did.
Because that was the one I was supposed to help you out with on like Sunday,
no,
but he ended up coming down on Monday instead. I'm so disappointed.
But,
sorry, Kevin. I wanted to be there.
It was good. But I saw a movie in the movie theater.
What'd you see?
I saw Spider-Man.
Oh, no way. How was it?
Well, I saw it again last night. I saw it 3 times already.
What?
Yeah. And last night, I was just as excited to see it as I was the first time.
Oh, so they knocked this one out of the park, is what you're saying.
It's a great Spider-Man movie. It is a great MCU movie. It's just a good superhero movie. They balanced a bunch of different characters, but they did it in such an organic way that it didn't feel like there was a bunch of characters in it. Like, it just, and like Michael Keaton's portrayal as the Vulture actually had reasoning and substance, and he was intimidating, and it was just, if you guys haven't seen it, go see it. It's the Spider-Man movie that everybody's been wanting since they started announcing Spider-Man movies. You know what I mean? Like, this is way better than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. Obviously, leaps and bounds better than the Andrew Garfield. Like, this is just, it was Spider-Man right from the start. It just felt like Spider-Man. It was great.
That's awesome. No, man, I can't wait to see that one myself. It's definitely high on my list of things to see. So, we'll
for sure. I like the Tobey Maguire ones, at least the first two. I liked.
Yeah.
But you know what? I didn't like the third one. It was okay, but it had a lot of issues. But I'll tell you flat out, I did not like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies.
The first one was okay. But the reason what makes this Tom Holland one leaps and bounds better was, one, they didn't deal with the origin story.
Okay.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
He's Spider-Man right from the start.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two, like I was saying with balance, everybody thinks Iron Man, Tony Stark is going to be in it a bunch. He's not.
It's like 5 minutes of screen time. That's it.
Pretty much. The person he's dealing with mostly is Happy Hogan.
Yes.
Which is the dynamic between those two characters is awesome.
Oh,
it just felt like it was just so awesome to see Spider-Man in the Marvel universe with nods to other superheroes, like, you know, there was nods to Captain America, nods to Thor, nods to Hulk, just everybody, like Black Widow, everybody. There was just a sentence or something in the background, or it's so good. It's
lived in the amazing MCU that we now know and love, and it very did by the sounds of it. So okay.
Well, what I'm hoping that comes from this is Fox will jump on the bandwagon and allow Marvel to start making X-Men movies.
One could only hope, but they're doing Dark Phoenix right now. And it's regardless of MCU owning it or not, they're still making shit tons of money because it's the X-Men. And really, that came out at a pinnacle time for superhero movies to kick things off. So they're just raking it in with every movie, whether it's good or not.
Yeah, and that's sad.
It is kind of sad because I'm not a huge fan of Bryan Singer. And
no. But another, just to kind of wrap it up with the Spider-Man stuff. It felt, like I said, it was an MCU movie. It was fun, and it had a story to tell. That was what was good about it. It wasn't just a generic, I'm Spider-Man, and like, it wasn't that. There was a story, there was a heart to it. There's one scene where I actually was like, oh my God, Tom Holland, you're making me feel, you know what I mean? Like,
right in the feels.
Right in the feels. But it was really good. It was really good.
Excellent. All right. Top recommendation. So I can't wait to see it. So, oh, wow. Then I guess we'll have to, you're done. You're done talking, right?
Yeah.
That was your week? Okay. Then we're going to move on down the table, around the virtual table as always, to Big White Puffy Headphones, Dave Miles.
Yeah!
Big White Puffy Headphones!
Hey, Dave. How you doing, buddy?
What are you talking about?
I'm so happy you said that, Adam.
We can't let him off the hook yet. Come on.
Screw you guys.
You guys, I'm going home. How you doing, Dave?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. I'm doing really good, actually. Really good. Mm-hmm. Been working on some projects over the past couple weeks, especially this week. Mm-hmm. Some super secret, top secret projects that I can't wait to hopefully announce maybe in a couple weeks. But I've been spending a lot of time kind of doing some prep work and making some inquiries and some phone calls and talking to some people. And I can't say a whole lot just yet.
Okay.
But it's been really, really good. Aside from that, catching up on some TV, some movies. Let me see. Oh, checked out the Castlevania TV series on Netflix. Have you guys watched this yet?
No.
Holy shit.
Really?
Awesome. Yes, it's only 4 episodes, but man, like it's such a tease. It's such a good show. And at the end of the 4th episode, it's just getting going. Like I couldn't believe they cut it off there. But it's already...
They already have a second season planned.
Yeah, it's already renewed for a second season, even before the first one premiered, and they're doubling the number of episodes to 8. But it's fantastic. I mean, it's anime. It takes place. It's based on the Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse from the NES.
Yep.
It's taking that storyline and you know, they did an anime based on that. So you've got Alucard, Dracula's son. You've got some of the Dracula origin stories and how Trevor Belmont, you know, essentially comes to town and then, you know, starts his quest to rid, you know, the country of Dracula. And it's totally awesome. If you guys haven't watched it, check it out. There's 4 episodes. Each episode runs like 25 minutes. So you can binge watch the first season in under 2 hours.
Nice.
It's an easy watch. Yeah, I watched it like Saturday morning. Got up, drank some coffee, and just binge watched them.
I thought you were going to say, I got up Saturday morning, had my pajamas on, ate my cereal.
I may have had my pajamas on, but I'll never admit it. I may have.
It may have. That's okay. We're not going to picture that, and we're not going to think about that. Let's just move on. Move on from the conversation.
Drank my coffee and ate my cereal.
Drank your coffee, ate your cereal, watched Castlevania. That's good, man. That's good.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a good recommendation.
Good. But yes, I mean, aside from that, just been working on this new project, and yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it, and hopefully it gets off the ground, and we got something to talk about here pretty soon. So, yeah.
Oh, excellent, man! Can't wait to hear more about that for sure.
Yep.
So, what have I been doing, Dave? You're done talking, right?
Well,
I'm just gonna say it because
yeah, okay.
I every now and then have the occasion just to go, "Hey, all right, guys," and everybody's like, I'm not done." So I'm just gonna throw it out there. But yes, okay. I have been preparing for what's already been on TV. Actually, it's already 8 or 9 episodes in the revisitation of Twin Peaks. But what I'm doing to prepare is that I've never fully actually sat down and watched the original series. So the wife and I have been watching it. And I gotta say, it is a really good whodunit. Like, I remember hearing a lot of people say, man, it's a fucked up show, and it's weird. And it is, but...
I'm going to stop you right there for a second.
Go ahead.
You haven't gotten to the second season yet, have you?
I just started the second season. Just barely started.
Okay. I think...
Yeah,
because the first season, I'm with you.
Straightforward.
It's awesome. It's a whodunit. Like, it's intriguing.
Kind of ends weird. You know, like...
Yeah.
The first season ends, and you're just kind of like... Oh, it's a good thing I already have the second season available to me. It almost ended like it just didn't know, what was going to happen next.
That was a cliffhanger.
So I mean, I'm going to watch the second season starting now. Like, I think I started the first episode of second season, but like Mick is way ahead of me. She's like, I'm falling asleep, and she's like 2 or 3 episodes ahead of where I left off, and it's like she's doing that whole Netflix and binge cheating thing that people talk about. You know what I mean? Where they just go ahead and watch everything without you. So. I forgive her for it, but I'll go back and watch it. So, other than that, I have been introducing my son slowly to more and more horror as well. And we talked about this before because, Tim, you've been introducing new stuff to Anthony. And you know what? My son absolutely took it upon himself to say that he wanted to watch more horror. So I was like, okay. So in the last week, I've sat him down and we've watched Child's Play.
Ooh.
Friday the 13th, Part 1, Friday the 13th, Part 3, or Part 2, and Friday the 13th, Part 3. So, just in the last week, he sat down and watched those 4. And you know what? You know what the one that he thought was the freakiest? Child's Play.
Child's Play?
Because the doll gets up and walks.
Yeah.
Like Jason, he's a human. He's going to stalk people and kill people. Why the hell is the doll up and walking around? Just plain and simple. Even he looked right at me and he goes, that's kind of freaky, Dad. That's actually kind of freaking me out a little bit, watching this doll get up and walk around. I'm like, Jake, this was filmed like when I was your age, like younger than you actually. Like, this is Not computer. This is like physically, they built this doll, and with puppeteering, they got it to get up and walk around. Mm-hmm. And that just blew his mind that this doll existed on set. So it was pretty interesting to see his reaction to like Kevin Yeager's effects from the original. And he really liked the story too, so kudos to like Tom Holland for, the fact that the story really holds up to this day too,
Well, the thing that me and Anthony also this week have watched Child's Play 1, 2, and 3.
Nice.
I think that's where you got the idea to show your kid Child's Play. You're ripping me off.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Skills.
My dad's skills.
I don't know,
man.
Told you.
I don't know. Look at this.
But anyways, me and Anthony said the exact same thing. This movie holds up so amazingly. Like, I'm here watching it, and I've seen the original Child's Play so many times, but just watching it and going, wow, Chucky looks amazing. Like, the animatronics of the puppet, the movements, they got better with Child's Play 2 with the stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all in prep for the new one that comes out in October.
Oh, Cult of Chucky.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Looks badass. Awesome. Like, this looks...
Oh, yeah.
Curse of Chucky was a pure gold revisitation to the originality of what the series brought. Now we have the Cult of Chucky, which just looks to further that. I'm not paying attention to the bullshit on the internet that everybody's going on about how Glenn is in this somehow and all this weird shit. I don't know until I see the movie, but I can't wait.
Well,
it's going to be good.
The thing is, with the Anthony and my watching thing, we're watching Child's Play 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. Then we're skipping the other ones and going straight to...
Right to Curse.
Right, because he's like, well, who's Tiffany? And I took 2 minutes to explain who Tiffany is, who their kid is, some of the crazy shit. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to watch that. I was like... right?
Bride of Chucky wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't that
you
bad.
could definitely see that it was a turn in the franchise, making it almost more comedic. And I don't like that. Chucky is, like you said, Adam, he's a creepy little doll, and, why is he walking around?
Yeah, it lost that. But still, the only thing I explained to my son was that in Bride of Chucky, I explained Tiffany, because we're not going to watch Bride of Chucky with him either, neither Seed. So I explained a little bit about Tiffany and Glenn. But I told him, I said, the only thing that you're missing out in Bride of Chucky is it has one of the coolest deaths in the series, because it's one of the most classic actors that was ever in the series, Mr. John Ritter, and how he dies. Yeah. I said, that's the best thing about that entire movie is how he dies, because he plays an asshole character, which was entirely out of scope for John Ritter, and it worked beautifully in for him. But beyond that, give or take, man. Like, I don't really care that it exists. And Seed, I've watched it once, and I've almost promised myself never to watch it again, because that's just I'm never gonna get back.
When they're tucking, what's the kid's name?
Glenn.
When they're tucking Glenn in, he's like, "Why do you kill?" And he's like, "Cause it's fun." And it's like, "Oh my god, this is horrible.
This is horse shit."
Shit!
Was it rated S for shit?
Oh,
well, if it's not, we're rating it now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So okay, well, there you go then. So, Bride of Chucky not so bad, but Seed of Chucky, this is it. It is rated S for shit.
For shit.
Nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's how the week's been going too. So, but tonight, gentlemen, we kick off a 2-part series. That's what we're going to do. It's a 2-part series, everybody. But it's not just a 2-part series of any kind. This is a dedication to one of the masters, one of the most respected, by the fans at least, masters of horror, Mr. John Carpenter. Yeah! Now, I know we've done some episodes on some of John Carpenter's movies before. We've done Halloween and we've done The Thing, but this is a retrospect, somewhat similar to what we've done with Stephen King. General banter, color commentary, and everything that we want to talk about between us and share with everybody else, as well as trivia and interesting tidbits. we are going to do a 2-part series on the works of Mr. John Carpenter. So stay tuned for episode 2, but you know what, guys? We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to start filming on, well, this one here, episode 29, part 1 of John Carpenter, the retrospect. Coming back in a minute, guys.
Greetings from Tromaville. I'm Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when we're not making those great movies like Tromeo and Juliet and Return to Nukem I, a.k.a. Volume 2, the Troma team and I like to kick back and listen to They Cast from the Coast. They Cast from the Coast is really the best entertainment, the best education, and the best emotional liberation that Lloyd Kaufman can possibly experience. Thank you.
The one, the only, the classic Halloween.
Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago. Michael? Halloween.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. I think he'll come back.
Exploring uncharted territory.
Totally charted.
Just talk.
Sure.
The only reason she babysits is to have
Halloween.
Okay.
Come on out.
Halloween. The night he came home.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning back in here. As we said before we went on the break, tonight we are going to pay our respects to one of the utmost masters of horror and action, Mr. John Carpenter. We've been dying to do this because we feel, from They Cast at the Coast and the Misunderstood Art Company, that these artists themselves need to be talked about. This is what we do. We enlighten not only ourselves, but people who listen.
I hope there's lots.
We hope there's lots. That's exactly
Hope there's
lots of
lots.
enlightenment. So, John Carpenter himself, director, writer, composer, which is a huge thing that a lot of people who even know John Carpenter are not quite familiar with. You ask somebody about Halloween. Oh yeah, that's the one, Michael Myers. That's a pretty good John Carpenter flick. Did you talk about his his composing and his music? Oh, he did music? You know what I mean?
Duh.
Duh, right? You got to talk about that stuff too, right?
Yeah.
It all comes down to the fact that John Carpenter started off on a high note. He really did. Yes, he did a bunch of short films, and it eventually turned into Assault on Precinct 13, which is his first real, really known movie, which was a great action flick. It's been remade. It was a great standing point for how to begin a career, really and truly. But then he went on to do one of the most masterfully created slasher films in the history of cinema. One that we have done an episode on, in fact.
Yeah.
Halloween.
And I believe that that's the movie that really kind of gave him his go. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the movie that, I guess, put him on the map.
That was when people started to watch him.
Yeah. And that movie had every single classic John Carpenter type thing. Like, it had the cinematography. It had the amazing, like, just, scope. And the soundtrack. Like, there's nothing... That movie is timeless.
Yeah.
And, it just really goes to show, even back then, I mean, like every once in a while you'll get a director, writer that comes onto the scene and has, like, a stroke of genius, and this movie's awesome, we're going to have to, watch out for this guy. And, but Carpenter had that vision and that style of movie making, that style of storytelling that transcended, like, every single one of his movies. Like, he's made some okay ones, but in those okay ones, it might have been shitty writing or shitty acting, but the soundtrack was amazing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always at least one gem of a, thing in a John Carpenter movie, and I'm speechless.
Yeah, John Carpenter. John Carpenter, if you are listening, and we hope that you are, we love you. And we love what you produce, and your music is phenomenal. I would die to see him in concert.
Like, you would just die?
Like I'm probably, I don't know. I'd probably fangirl to the point where I just, have an embolism and die or something. I don't know.
Well, the thing is with his music, his soundtrack, I listen to it when I draw.
Yeah.
I listen to, like, I have all of it on Spotify. This isn't brought to you by Spotify, by the way.
No.
But I have, like, pretty much his whole discography, and I just pick one. And
just listen
to
it.
Very inspirational music.
I mean, we're not going to get into too much detail when it comes to Halloween. For anybody who wants to listen to our thoughts on Halloween, there's an entire episode on that. Go back and check that out. We had a blast talking about that. However, we do want to talk about his early stuff. So even though Halloween was a great movie, the big thing that we find out with John Carpenter is that a lot of his early stuff was so amazing and so ahead of its time that they've begun remaking it. It's just all up in remakes right now. Halloween was obviously redone by Rob Zombie. He did 1 and 2 Halloweens. It's up again for another movie, continuing the franchise. But right now, if you guys noticed all of the promotional material that's being released for it right now, it just says Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have a subtitle, doesn't say anything. It's just Halloween again.
I think they're waiting to kind of reveal that, because it's going to have a subtitle. They've already said that this is the spiritual third installment of Halloween. They've already said that. You know what I mean?
I'm okay with that. Danny McBride's involved, is he not?
Yeah, he's already signed on as one of the producers. He's co-writing it, and he probably, chances are, will be in it as a cameo or something. But, like, what a random... Danny McBride involved in making the new Halloween movie. Like,
yeah, no, it's.
But I was shocked.
Yeah,
I was shocked.
But
I mean, Danny McBride always associated with comedy, and all of a sudden, out of left field, we've got the new scripts being produced by Carpenter. Oh, and it's co-written by Danny McBride. I'm like, Danny McBride, the Danny McBride, like the same one. Of course, you know what? I will say, we've just seen Alien Covenant. I don't know if you'll agree, Tim, but.
He was fantastic.
Danny McBride was actually pretty good in it.
Yeah.
I had no problems with Danny McBride in that movie.
No, he was a very pleasant surprise in that film.
Absolutely.
But the thing that I'm really excited about this new installment of Halloween is that, again, it feels like horror fans are making this film. It's not just a cash grab. Like, it probably is a little bit. Obviously, they're making a Halloween movie to make money, but from what I've heard, the rumblings on the internet, that it sounds very much like a passion project by a bunch of fans that want to make the third installment to the Michael Myers story, not taking away from, I'm not taking away from the third Halloween movie that had nothing to do with Michael Myers. But I know. But it's like, okay, well, while that movie was going on, this is happening. Like, that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting, and they're apparently going with, like, an original mask, an original outfit, and it's, the guy's only going to be, like, 6'1", and, like, they're going really old school with it, and the fact that Carpenter's involved speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Right? Because he, and that's one of the things that we'll probably discuss later on in this discussion, is he doesn't do sequels. He's not a fan of it.
No.
He tells his stories once, he's done. On to the next thing.
Yeah, he doesn't like his sequels unless he feels that the story was meant to be over a span. It was, I built it this way, like the Escape from New York movie, which we'll talk about, right? He had, like, a whole universe of Snake Plissken planned. Only got to do the first one at the first, and eventually did the second one, had a plan for a third one, which turned into something entirely else, which we'll talk about. But, but going that step further, the beauty of John Carpenter, once again, talking about his older work that's coming up, and has been remade and talked about and enjoyed by many generations. Shortly thereafter making Halloween, he did a couple of other projects, but then The Fog hits. And how beautiful is that? That is one of the most classic movies. It's one of the most iconic. You see, just like Halloween, you see the cover of The Fog, you instantly know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
It's just, it blows me away, that movie. It was a fantastic flick. It was fun. It was well done. It was creepy as shit. The part in the church always made my...
Creepy as shit!
Creepy as shit!
Shit!
But before you go into too much of The Fog, one thing that I do think should be mentioned is, before The Fog came out, which was, I believe, 1980, he did a TV movie on Elvis. And it's the first of many collaborations with my very favorite star, Mr. Kurt Russell, who has been a favorite of Carpenter films, which we'll get into. But I thought it was just, I thought it was cool, this Elvis thing, because I might be jumping the gun a little bit with my trivia, but it feels good to be right now. Yeah. Which is funny. Okay, in 1969, Elvis did a movie called Change of Habit, in which he played a character named John Carpenter. Right?
Nice.
Only in 1979, John Carpenter directed a TV movie called Elvis, starring Kurt Russell. But did you know that Kurt Russell and Elvis did a movie back in the day?
What movie?
I cannot remember what it's called, but they are in, like, an amusement park, and Elvis is there standing, and he asked the kid something for directions, and Elvis said something smart-ass, and the little kid was Kurt Russell and kicks him right in the leg and then runs away. So nice. Kurt Russell kicked Elvis in a movie and then played him later. Directed by John Carpenter.
But I love Kurt Russell. So
see how it's all 100%. Circled, the universe and circular.
It's too cerebral, man.
Oh, man, blows your freaking mind.
Some deep thinking.
That's some deep thought shit right there, buddy. Yeah. The Fog.
Yes, The Fog.
The Fog. Fantastic flick. I mean, what else are you going to say? Like I was saying before, the moment in the church.
Yeah, the moment in the church is really good.
Got me, man. Goosebumps every friggin' time. And the makeup effects for the creatures, were the undead, so to speak, were just amazing.
Yeah.
Seeing them work.
Yeah. Well, I also liked that it was another. Speaking on the fog, I like that Jamie Lee Curtis was in it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was cool that Janet Leigh was in it as well. Being a fan of her, and that being Jamie Lee's mom. And no, the fog was good. The fog was good. I honestly believe that it's a very underrated film. A lot of people forget about the fog.
They do, or when you mention the fog, they always think of the remake.
Yeah, and that just hurts. That hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people go, "Oh yeah, man, that was a good movie." It had a Superman in it. The young Superman guy, and I'm like, boo, boo earns. You're talking about the remake. No. Go back and watch the 1980s version from John Carpenter. There's an 80s version? Yes. Please listen up, children.
Who are you talking to that talks like that? There's an 80s version?
There's an 80s version? Like, people. Shit you not, man. People. People in general. Man, I feel old talking to some of these people. I'm not that old, I swear. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, well. So the fog is highly revered by a lot of fans, but it does get forgotten. There's no doubt about it. But the next movie that came out, really, in the grand scheme of things, is one of John Carpenter's tour de forces. This is a movie that horror fans, action fans, sci-fi fans, everybody can get behind. Tim! It was
Escape from New York.
Starring,
I love that movie so much.
Starring the amazing Kurt Russell.
Yes, Kurt Russell. This, I think, is like the best Kurt Russell movie ever. Yeah. I also put this right up there. Like, it's like, as far as like John Carpenter movies, it's Halloween and Escape from New York. Like,
they're so close.
They're almost the same.
They're so close.
Really?
Yeah, because I like them for different reasons, but those different reasons they equal the same. Kurt Russell's so fantastic in this bloody movie. Like, he's just so awesome.
Well, you bring up a good point though. You like them for different reasons, which is why these movies are so good on their own. Because look at the way that John Carpenter writes and directs.
Yeah.
These are two entirely different movies. Entirely different. They have the same look and feel because they are John Carpenter made. Different universe entirely. And it feels that way. Which is something you can't say about a lot of directors. There's a lot of directors that they don't.
It's almost like it's like not to get too, hippie, but John Carpenter is an artist, and he uses a very specific brand of paints. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could just look at a John Carpenter movie without even knowing it's a John Carpenter movie, and know it's a John Carpenter movie. Whether it be the overall aesthetic, the soundtrack, like Escape from New York has an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah.
Right? And even the way the characters were written, like, there's this unspoken, lived-in quality, this history to these characters in this movie. Like, New York has been, messed up for years, and you're only getting to see it, like, a glimpse of it in this movie, but, like, this movie just had, like, a depth, an unspoken depth to it, this lived-in feel, and I can't say enough amazing things about it. Like, Kurt Russell's so fucking awesome in this movie. Like, Snake Plissken is one of my favorite characters ever written.
I love how Snake Plissken seems to know a little bit about everything and everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody. He's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Or everybody knows Snake Plissken.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. He's like so infamous. He knows them, and they know him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
But
Oh,
go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, it makes the world so believable. Like, there is a guy out there, Snake Plissken. You know what I mean? Like, he's real. It's such a believable universe. And I mean, with Escape from New York, John Carpenter created this world that is often imitated. I mean, he laid the groundwork. Same as what he did with Halloween. It's often imitated, but never replicated. Right? And it's the same thing with Escape from New York.
Yeah.
He's laid the groundwork. He's almost created his own genre with Escape from New York. And it's amazing. I mean, the character of Snake Plissken, it's an iconic character. I mean, in the past decade, I cannot recall. It's been more than 10 years since I recall a cinematic, iconic character that has been created that sticks out in my mind. But if I go back to the 70s and 80s, they're full of it. You've got the Leatherfaces and the Jasons and the Freddys and the Michael Myers, and like they're so full of iconic characters that you just don't see that anymore. And Snake Plissken is right up there.
And that brings me to a very good observation, is back in the 70s and 80s primarily, the pocket of time that we're talking about, focus was more on the characters. Whereas today, the focus is more on the spectacle. Like the characters always fall to the wayside, and it's almost like, you watch these movies made today, and it's like, I don't give a shit about these characters. Every once in a while a gem will come around, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is the first movie in a very long time that had both a really good plot and characters that you cared about set amongst this amazing backdrop, right? And I find that is a lost art, and, John Carpenter he came out at the right time, had the right vision, and, he's talented. And, Snake Plissken is, by all accounts, a very, I don't want to say basic character, because he's not, but he's an atypical badass.
He is the anti-hero.
Yeah, and what I think is one of the first real, takes on a modern anti-hero. He's got the tattoo, he's got the patch over his eye, he wears cool clothes, he has the one-liners, like, he's just badass. And like how you said, Adam, where he knows just a little bit about everything. Like, he knows how to fly a helicopter or a plane just enough to get by. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's not perfect at it.
He could pick up any type of weapon and know how to use it just enough, right? Like, he's they don't write characters like this anymore.
No.
They don't, and it sucks.
The beauty of John Carpenter films, especially with Escape from New York, is why I mentioned it in the way that I did, is because it passes my absolute my test, which we have talked about in the past. I hate it when they have to spend too much time delving into background of a character, when naturally throughout the film the character comes alive and a history and a story is told about that character. And this is
like a flower.
It opens up like a flower. Very, very good, Tim. Very good. But that's now, exactly.
Would that have been as good if I didn't do the hand gestures?
No.
It's kind of disturbing with the hand gestures, but
but that's you're absolutely right, Adam. It's and we said this exact same thing over Halloween. We don't need to be brought up with all of this, like don't tell me where Snake was before the movie started if it has no relevance to the story.
That's right.
I don't care, right?
Just tell me he's a badass.
Yeah, but I like when they make reference to that untold story that happened before, because it makes the character, like Dave said, more believable. It feels like a lived-in universe, and like he does this in like every one of his movies.
Yes, absolutely, and that goes into like The Thing, which was a movie that came out shortly thereafterwards. You don't
who was in that again?
Kurt Russell.
Right. Kurt Russell.
Kurt frickin' Russell. Which you don't get a lot of backstory in this movie. You just, okay, alien ship crashed, boom, and they pick it up. It's not like, there's a huge backstory of any kind. It's just they come into contact with this thing, shit happens, they got to get out of the situation.
Well, they made another movie of backstory, and it was pretty good.
But you know what?
Exactly.
We got the
backstory in 2010.
But that backstory movie still didn't give an entire backstory, even then.
No.
It played a little bit further into it later on. So, you get onto the ship a little bit more, and you get, some other shit that happens. But it still doesn't give what a lot of movies today would give a larger backstory. So it was great that way.
Yeah.
And we've done an episode on The Thing. I love it. Go listen to that episode on The Thing. It's a fantastic flick. I mean...
But I want to talk more.
Talk about it then, Tim.
No, I got nothing to say.
I got nothing to say.
It was awesome. It was so good.
Yes.
It was so good.
That's why I mean,
Halloween. No, I'm kidding.
It's like right there, man.
It's right there, man, for different reasons. No, The Thing. Yeah, you want to hear our opinions, go watch the episode, or listen to the episode,
But just listen to this, what we're talking about here. You got Halloween, which is like the ultimate slasher. You got Escape from New York, which is like the ultimate action movie. And The Thing is like the ultimate sci-fi horror movie. Like, he just kept going and going and going. And then what did he do? He jumps back to the horror genre a little bit.
Yeah.
With one of David's favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Which
that sounded very sassy.
David.
1983 brought us Christine, his first take on a Stephen King story. Actually, I guess his only take on a Stephen King story. I don't think he's done another Stephen King story since then.
No, I don't think so either. But this was the time period when a lot of directors were buying, like a lot of studios were buying up the rights heavily. It's like, okay, we got this awesome property, the Stephen King stuff. Let's keep buying it up. Christine got optioned, and here we go.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned this when we talked about Stephen King. Mm-hmm. The rights were actually bought, I believe, before the story even hit the stands.
Yep.
John Carpenter had actually bought the rights to the movie before the book was even released, so things were in motion already with Christine, and it's probably one of the best adaptations of Stephen King's story. It's very faithful to the book. We talked about Christine a lot in previous episodes, but I'll just leave it as it's another great John Carpenter movie. He did the score. Again, you can watch it and you can tell it's a Stephen King story, but it's also a John Carpenter movie. Like, it has that look and feel and sound to it, and it's just everything works. It's a very faithful adaptation of Stephen King's work, and I'm a huge fan. It was the first Stephen King book I ever read, and it's a fantastic movie.
I think the only thing that now I kind of dislike about Christine is that it... No. I like Christine. I like the book and the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because it is the title, you look at the poster, John Carpenter's Christine, right?
True.
Taking away from Stephen King is what you're saying?
Yes, but if he was going to make it John Carpenter's Christine, it should have had some of John Carpenter's actors in it. That's the only thing that I don't like about that movie. Not saying that it should have had, Arnie Cunningham should have been Kurt Russell. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But what I'm saying is that, like, that's one of the hallmarks of Carpenter movies is he likes using the same actors, right? Mm-hmm. And I felt that was one of the things that was lacking with Christine. Everything else, I mean, the actors they picked were fantastic.
Yeah.
You said it yourself. Whoa.
Hello.
Get excited there.
One of the things that you said, Dave, was it was a very faithful adaptation, and at that time, that was unheard of for a Stephen King book.
Yeah,
faithfully adapted like
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah. So it's a really good film, but like I said, the only thing that I disliked about it was it's not John Carpenter's Christine. It's Stephen King's Christine. And if it was going to be John Carpenter's Christine, he should have went all out and cast the whole movie with his recurring actors.
Yeah. No.
That's my say. I like the movie, so I would like an apology from you, Dave. I want you to unboo me.
Unboo Dave. Give him an
All right,
unbooing.
Take it back. Look in the camera and tell me that you take it.
I unboo you.
Woo! You. And with that, we will end this session here with Tim successfully being unbooed for his thoughts.
I felt it right in the heart.
Right in the heart, man. All right, and with that, guys, we're going to actually end the episode right now. We're going to prepare ourselves for the next episode. Episode 30, by the way, guys. Next episode's episode 30. This is great.
Yay!
Yay! I gotta admit, when we started putting this together, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, we'll do this for a little bit. I wonder how it's gonna go. And now we're doing episode 30, man. This is gonna be great. So
just wait till episode 50.
Oh man, episode 50. It's coming sooner than we think. We're over halfway there, so that'll be great. And nonetheless, episode 30 is gonna finalize John Carpenter. So this is gonna be great, guys. So with that being said, we're going to call it for the night. Remember to like us on Facebook and follow us and check in for updates on a regular basis. And until next time, guys, Dave, say goodnight.
Good night.
Tim.
Stay spooky, everybody!
Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this week to They Cast from the Coast. We hope you enjoyed the topic and the discussion that we've had tonight. We're very excited about everything that's being produced right now in conjunction with the Misunderstood Art Company. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, say hi in the comments section, and just in general, check out the other content that's being offered, once again, under the Misunderstood Art Company. If you want to listen just to the audio portion of this show itself, we're making it available on iTunes, Google Play, and TuneIn on top of the YouTube channel itself. So thank you very much again for your continued support. Check out the rest of the Misunderstood Art Company's offerings. You might even see some familiar faces. And until next time, take it easy.